scholars, distinguished guests, and dear participants. I am Yukti, researcher in Department of Philosophy, Savitribai Phule Pune University. It is with immense pleasure and great honor that we welcome you all today in 2 days national seminar celebrating 50 years of Indian Philosophical Quarterly, a remarkable milestone in the world of academic publishing, established by the eminent philosopher Professor S. Barlinge at Savitribai Phule Pune University. IPQ has remained a beacon of philosophical inquiry, fostering critical thinking, rigorous scholarship, and intellectual discourse for half a century. To mark this Golden Jubilee, we have gathered today to reflect on the journal's contributions, explore the evolving landscape of philosophical research, and engage in meaningful discussions that honor Professor Barlinge's vision. This seminar brings together leading philosophers, academicians, and researchers from across the country. And we are truly delighted to have such an esteemed gathering. Before we begin, let us take a moment to acknowledge and express our gratitude to Savitribai Phule Pune University for its continued support of IPQ, and to all the editors, contributors, and scholars who have shaped its legacy over the decades. Please give a big round of applause so that we can start today's proceeding with all the energies around. As we embark on this momentous occasion, it is only fitting that we begin with lighting of lamp, a symbolic gesture that signifies the dispersal of darkness and illumination of knowledge, wisdom, and enlightenment. In Indian tradition, the lamp represents the eternal flame of learning, guiding us towards truth and understanding. May I now invite our honorable dignitaries to kindly come forward and join this sacred ritual, marking the auspicious beginning of our seminar. As this flame shines bright, may it inspire us all to engage in meaningful discussion, deep reflection, and the pursuit of philosophical wisdom. Thank you, esteemed dignitaries, for gracing this moment. With this, we officially commence our event, and we look forward to an enriching and thought-provoking seminar ahead. It is only fitting that we start by paying tribute to two remarkable legacies: the visionary Savitribai Phule, a pioneer of education and social reform, and the esteemed journal IPQ, which has been a pillar of philosophical discourse for 5 decades. May I now request our honorable dignitaries to kindly come forward and offer floral tributes to the portrait of Savitribai Phule, as a mark of our deep respect for her extraordinary contribution to education and society. Thank you for this heartful tribute. Now, to honor the Golden Jubilee of Indian Philosophical Quarterly, I may invite our dignitaries to offer floral tribute to the journal, recognizing its invaluable contribution to philosophical thought and academic research. Now, to provide us with an overview of this national seminar, I would like to invite the editorial assistant of IPQ and coordinator of this event, Dr. Sunil Raut sir, to share the details of seminar, its themes, and the discussion we will engage in over the coming sessions. Sir, we request you to kindly take the stage and enlighten us with the seminar's objective. Please welcome Dr. Sunil Raut with a round of applause.
Good morning, esteemed delegates, speakers, and participants. My name is Dr. Sunil Raut, the coordinator of today's national seminar, cum Convivium. On behalf of the organizing committee, Department of Philosophy, Savitribai Phule Pune University, it is my pleasure to extend warm and hearty welcome to all of you. We are honored by your presence here today and truly appreciate the efforts each of you have made to join us for the National Seminar cum Convivium. Today, we aim to bring together experts, researchers, and students from across the country to discuss the academic developments in the last 50 years of Indian Philosophical Quarterly Journal, published by the Department of Philosophy, SPPU. We believe this gathering will foster productive dialogues and new insights. The 2023 was a milestone for our IPQ journal as it has successfully completed 50 years of its academic contribution in the area of philosophy. The history of academic philosophy in India definitely has a big chapter in the form of the 50 years publication of Indian Philosophical Quarterly. It has not only brought the Department of Philosophy to the limelight but also worked as the glittering jewel in the crown of Savitribai Phule Pune University. It has made enormous contribution to the academic development of scholars and researchers working in the philosophy. Indian Philosophical Quarterly, Paramarsh Marathi and Paramarsh Hindi are the three independent quarterly publications of the Department of Philosophy of our university. Launched in 1973, 1979 and 1980 respectively by the late Professor S.S. Barlinge, these journals have provided a forum for expressing philosophical reflections of diverse orientations with the Indian and Western philosophical traditions and also provide space for interdisciplinary concerns in the areas like philosophy of science, philosophy of mind, philosophy of law, philosophy of religion, philosophy of history, philosophy of action and consciousness studies. The IPQ has gained recognition as high standard for past 50 years. From the beginning, it has been peer-reviewed journal. Many academicians from both India and abroad have published their first papers in this journal, and this tradition is still proceed. With this brief introduction, to formally welcome our esteemed delegates, distinguished guests and participants, it is my honor to invite Professor Harishchandra Navle, Head Department of Philosophy, Savitribai Phule Pune University, to deliver the welcome address. Sir, we request you kindly take the stage and extend your warm greetings to our gathering. Please welcome Professor Harishchandra Navle with big round of applause.
Thank you, Sunil. Good morning, everyone. Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor Parag Kalkar sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Presidency University, Kolkata, Professor Nirmalya Narayan Chakravarti sir, Professor Deshpande, Professor Pradeep Gokhale, and all our esteemed delegates, guests, and fellow students. On behalf of the Department of Philosophy, Savitribai Phule Pune University, it is my great honor to welcome you all and extend a warm and hearty welcome to all of you. Today, we have gathered here to celebrate Golden Jubilee of Indian Philosophical Quarterly. We popularly call it as a IPQ. Ideally, we should have celebrated this event in 2023. Though belated than never, we are happy to organize this event of celebration now amidst the gathering of distinguished scholars from all over India. As you know, this department publishes 3 journals, just Sunil has told you recently. So last 50 years, we have been publishing these journals and providing a platform for research in academic research in the domain of philosophy. I would like to take you little behind in the history. This department started around 1948-49 along with the establishment of Savitribai Phule Pune University. But it was looked after by the professors from the constituent college of the university like Professor Hulyakar, Professor Gole. The first appointment of a professor and head in the university, in the Department of Philosophy, took place around 1965. Naravne, V.S. Naravne was the first professor and head of this department in 1965. He left department within a couple of years, and after that in 1970, Professor Barlinge was appointed as a head of the department, and he then developed the department in such a way, fruits of which we are still receiving. He sowed the seed of IPQ and Paramarsh and all the journals, and now those are becoming big trees, and definitely that is one of the eternal entities. Editors will come, teachers will come and go, but then IPQ will definitely eternally be continuing with this. So at that time, Professor Barling had a great vision of the department. He wrote in a memoir of first 25 years of the university, and there he writes, department is of the view that if philosophy is to be activized in India, it must be really be based on the problems which are natural to the soil and the people, and therefore department considers it necessary to give greater emphasis on the problem connected with the Indian philosophy. Thus, the department envisages to apply methods in philosophy of science, symbolic logic, and analysis to the problem which are in a way vital to the needs of the country. Department should be developed on the lines of Center of Analytical Philosophy and Comparative Logic. Such center will be activized not only philosophy proper, but also will be useful in giving impetus to thinking in the allied field. I think last, after establishment of this department, last couple of years, I can say decades, this department was developed under this line. Today we are diversifying our focus definitely. In applied philosophy also we are working. We are also starting courses on philosophical counseling also. So coming back to Indian Philosophical Quarterly, it has published a vast philosophical literature totaling around 25,000 pages. And IPQ is also indexed in international documentation services such as Philosophers Index, USA. Over the last 50 years, the journal has published special issues featuring philosophers such as René Descartes, Immanuel Kant, Dr. Ambedkar. Additionally, it has explored diverse topics including theorizing the body, environmental and medical ethics, Indian democracy, classical Indian philosophy. Notably, to highlight fundamental issues in Indian reception of the West, the IPQ has published special numbers on the theme of Swaraj in Ideas, which has proved to be a milestone. The Swaraj in Ideas, many of you know, is one of the very popular issue that has been published by IPQ. Couple of seminars also took place on that particular issue all over India. Over the past 50 years, editorial team of IPQ, besides Professor Barling, many eminent scholars contributed, right from Rajendra Prasad till Professor Gokhale, Deshpande, all of them were greatly contributing to the development of Indian Philosophical Quarterly. Actually, we are fortunate enough to have Professor Nirmalya Narayan Chakraborty, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Presidency University, Kolkata, as our chief guest for the inaugural function of this milestone event. This is one of the historical events, I would say, because this will be recorded in the history that we have celebrated the 50 years of Indian Philosophical Quarterly. Besides, we have Professor Sharad Deshpande, our former head of the department, who was associated with IPQ in almost all capacities right from inception of IPQ. So I think in 1970, Professor S.S. Barling has taken charge of Department of Philosophy. Around 1972, Professor Deshpande started taking responsibilities in the Department of Philosophy. And I think 1 year after that, the IPQ was established. The detailed history and story of the development of IPQ will be shared by Professor and Professor Gokhale. Last but not least, that we are going to revamp the processes of Indian Philosophical Quarterly. We are going to develop online journal management system. Savitribai Phule Pune University has in-house software development company, and we have requested that company to develop online journal management system. They have accepted our request, and now very soon the online avatar of journal will be there, and it will be good for the circulation, it will be good for the subscription. So we may increase the subscription, we may increase the circulation of the IPQ with this online system. Recently, university authorities has allotted us a mezzanine floor in one of the buildings where we'll be setting up the separate library for Indian Philosophical Quarterly. All our last journals and the published books will be set up there. Very soon it will be inaugurated, and it will be brought into the service. Digitization project has already taken place. Professor Sharad Deshpande was the head of the department during that period. He has digitized many past issues. I mean, almost all the past issues till that time he has digitized and put it on the university website. It is for free circulation and free to download. once I asked Professor Deshpande that why shouldn't we charge for the downloading and all that. So he scolded me. He said, we have worked for it, we have taken efforts, and why are you selling our efforts? So it is for the free circulation, and those articles are most authentic articles, I would say. That was a different time. Predatory journal culture was not developed during that time, and this was the only journal for many years. Therefore, the people were not writing at that time for their career advancement. People were writing for their intellectual advancement. That was the time when the IPQ was catering the service of publishing the journal. Now, I would also like to thank Professor Rajeshwari Deshpande, who is the Director of Interdisciplinary Schools in Humanities. She has generously funded our project to continue the digitization. So we have already given the orders. Very soon we'll digitize the rest of the issues, and those will be put on the website, and the online journal management system also be in the service very soon. To conclude, as a head of the department, I once again welcome you all for this. This is the one of the kind of event which will be quite memorable. We want to build a team where henceforth will increase the scope and the energy of Indian Philosophical Quarterly. Thank you very much. I welcome you all once again. Thanks a lot.
Let's move towards the felicitations of guest. In order to felicitate our guest, I will just call the name and Ms. Yukti will read the bio. In order to grace this occasion, we are privileged to have Professor Nirmala Chakraborty, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Presidency University, Kolkata, as our chief guest.
Now, it is our privilege to felicitate an eminent philosopher, an exceptional academic leader, and a scholar of remarkable depth. Professor Nirmala Chakraborty. Professor Nirmal Chakraborty illustrates career spans decades of dedicated teaching, research, and administration. Currently serving as the Vice Chancellor of Presidency University, Kolkata, he has previously been a Professor of Philosophy at Rabindra Bharati University, where he has nurtured generation of students and scholars. He has held key positions including Dean, Faculty of Arts, and Head of Department of Philosophy at Rabindra Bharati University, contributing significantly to the institution's academic excellence. I'll read the brief bio of Sir, and then we can proceed to the next felicitation. His scholarly pursuits have taken him across the globe with prestigious fellowship at renowned institutions such as University of Glasgow, Scotland, and the University of Naples, Italy. As a Commonwealth Fellow, and visiting professor at esteemed universities in India and abroad, he has brought Indian philosophy to the global stage while engaging with contemporary philosophical discourse. Professor Chakraborty has also played a pivotal role in shaping philosophical research in India. As Member Secretary of Indian Philosophical Research, ICPR, and Executive Editor of Rabindra Bharati Journal of Philosophy, he has been instrumental in fostering academic dialogue and advancing philosophical thoughts. Thank you, sir, for gracing this occasion with your presence. Your contribution continue to inspire scholars across the country, and we are truly honored to have you with us today. Thank you.
We are privileged to have Professor Sharad Deshpande, the former head of Department of Philosophy and the former editor of IPQ. Yes.
Professor Deshpande has dedicated over 4 decades to teaching and research in philosophy, significantly shaping contemporary philosophical discourse. He has served as professor and head of Department of Philosophy at Savitribai Phule Pune University, mentoring generation of students and scholars. His area of expertise encompasses classical Indian philosophy, 20th century Indian philosophy, analytic philosophy, and philosophy of history. His outstanding academic journey includes prestigious fellowship and visiting position at renowned institution. He has been National Fellow of Indian Council of Philosophical Research, ICPR, from 2023 to 2024. Within India, he has been invited as visiting fellow at several esteemed universities, including Dibrugarh, Utkal, Kottayam, Mumbai, Rabindranath Bharati, Kolkata, Central University of Hyderabad, North Bengal, Allahabad, and many more. His scholarly contribution dedication to philosophical research, and commitment to academic excellence have earned him great respect in philosophical community. It is an honor to have him with us today, and we are eagerly look forward to his insights. May I now request our Pro VC, Professor Parag Kalkar, to please kindly come forward and felicitate Professor Sharad Deshpande, sir, with token of appreciation. Can we have a big round of applause?
Thank you, sir. We are also privileged to have Professor Pradeep Gokhale, the former editor of IPQ Journal, as well as retired professor of the Department of Philosophy, SPPU.
It is my honor and privilege to introduce to you an eminent philosopher, a dedicated academician, and a prolific scholar whose contribution has significantly enriched the study of Indian and Western philosophy. Our esteemed guest today has devoted his career to exploring and advancing knowledge in Indian philosophy, formal logic, Western and analytic philosophy, Indian moral philosophy, and philosophical contribution of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. His extensive writing span across Buddhism, Charvak, Jain, Yoga, reflecting his deep engagement with diverse philosophical traditions. In recognition of his outstanding research, he has awarded the prestigious Gurudev Ranade Best Thesis Award in 1980. His commitment to education is evident in his role in visiting the philosophy and logic syllabus at undergraduate and postgraduate levels at Pune University. A visionary in the field of digital education, he played a key role in EPG Pathshala program of UGC, coordinating major projects in Indian logic and Indian metaphysics, contributing to the development of high-quality academic modules that continue to benefit learners nationwide. He is also the member of Maharashtra Tattva Gyan Parishad, and he is in the executive committee. May I now request our Pro VC, Parag Kalkar sir, to kindly come forward and felicitate Professor Pradeep Gokhale with a token of appreciation. Please give him a big round of applause.
To extend the felicitation, ladies and gentlemen, it's our privilege to honor someone whose work in print media has played a vital role in shaping public discourse and keeping us informed, especially in relation with IPQ Journal. Today, we are delighted to felicitate Dr. Dattatreya Kute, the esteemed press manager of Savitribai Phule Pune University, whose dedication to print media excellence has been truly commendable. Their tireless efforts in ensuring accurate and timely reporting have been invaluable. We deeply appreciate their role in shaping our journal in physical form. As a token of our appreciation, we would now like to request Professor Kalkar sir, the Pro Vice Chancellor of Savitribai Phule Pune University, to felicitate Dr. Kute. Thank you, sir. To extend this, we would like to take this moment to recognize the invaluable contribution of our talented DTP operator, Mr. Nandakishore Khurjekar. Through their expert design skill and talented proficiency, they have played a crucial role in creating visual appearance and effective print materials for our IPQ journal. Since last 1.5 decades, he is associated with our IPQ journal. In addition to our university, he has worked with D.Y. Patil University, Mahatma Phule Agriculture College, Deccan College, Bori, Director of Higher Education, etc. His firm has expertise in Sanskrit, German, Punjabi, along with regular languages. He has approx 35 titles in market. His hard work and dedication to perfection have helped bring out our vision to IPQ. We would like to request Professor Pro Vice Chancellor to our university to felicitate Mr. Khujekar with shawl and a memento. Let us all take a moment to applause and felicitate Mr. Khujekar for their remarkable contribution of IP.
As we embark on this momentous occasion, it is only fitting that now we felicitate our Pro-VC, Dr. Parag Kalkar sir. So I request our HOD, Harish Naule sir, to please felicitate him. Thank you so much, sir, for gracing us with your presence. To commemorate this incredible journey, we are honored to unveil the Golden Jubilee edition of IPQ, a special edition that not only marks a milestone but also reflects the rich legacy and future vision of this esteemed journal. May I now request our esteemed dignitaries on the dais to kindly come forward and for the official release of the historic edition, the Golden Jubilee edition of IPQ. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to all those who have contributed to IPQ over the years, ensuring that its impact continues to inspire philosophical thoughts for years to come. Thank you so much, Parag Kalkar sir, for joining us. As sir is getting late, so he will leave us. We will continue our program with the formal proceedings. As we celebrate the Golden Jubilee of IPQ, it is important to reflect on the journal's legacy, not just as a publication, but as a vibrant intellectual space that fosters dialogue, debate, and deep philosophical inquiry. To take this vision forward, we now introduce our special initiative, the Convivium of the Indian Philosophical Quarterly. To elaborate on the legacy of IPQ and the vision behind the Convivium, I now invite an esteemed scholar and philosopher, Professor Sharat Deshpande, to address the gathering. Please join me in welcoming Professor Deshpande with a warm round of applause.
Now, as a part of formality, I should first say a few things about our friend who happens to be the Vice Chancellor of Presidency University, and Professor Nirmalya Chakravarti, who of course needs no introduction to many who have assembled here. He is one person, though he is occupying that post. He is so simple, so he said today in the morning that please do not, enter into any formality to felicitate me and so on. So Nirmalya, we treat you not as Vice Chancellor, but as one amongst us, as you have always been. So many things have been said about IPQ. As Professor Naule has said, I was associated with IPQ right from its birth, and this first issue which is put there, that first issue was printed in a press called Sangam Press in Pune, which was owned by a very eminent person and brother of the freedom fighter Achyut Patwardhan's, his younger brother, Janubhau Patwardhan. He owned that press, and that press used to be quite far away from our university in those days. So going there itself was a great journey, could take a lot of time. But anyway, we have enjoyed all the efforts and the going, coming, and so on. So when the first issue came from the press, the whole department was so happy, as if a baby is born in the family. So we really celebrated that moment of the reception of the first issue of the first volume of IPQ in our department. That is my memory as far as the first issue is concerned. First issue of the first volume concerned. Slowly then IPQ started taking shape, and the person to be credited fully is only its father, that is Professor Surendra Barlinge. Now Barlinge was a very extraordinary person in many respects. He was basically a freedom fighter and an educationist. He had established so many colleges in the Marathwada region of Maharashtra and also in Andhra, many parts of Andhra. And he was a very close friend. In fact, in those days, pre-Independence Day, as we have freedom movement in rest of the country, there was another freedom movement in this state of Hyderabad, which was the state of the Nizams. And as we have Vallabhbhai Patel, as far as the rest of the country, this state of Hyderabad had Swami Ramananda Tirtha. He was the leader, and as equal to the status of Vallabhbhai Patel. He led that freedom movement in the Andhra Pradesh to get that whole state freed from Nizam's rule. Now, these three persons were actively involved in that freedom movement. One was P.V. Narsingh Rao, who became the Prime Minister. Other was S.B. Chauhan, Shankar Rao Chauhan, who became the Home Minister later on. And the third one was Surendra Barlinge. Now, being a freedom fighter, those people had to organize so many things. So Barlinge had that great ability to organize many things at a time. So reviving IPQ and organizing so many things around that was not very difficult task for him. But for us, that is who we were young lecturers at that time, for us, we always used to wonder that why Barlinge is doing all these kinds of things. But later on we realized the importance of so many things. One of the things that made this journal absolutely unique as compared to other journals is the solid economic foundation on which this journal runs. He had a great idea of making institutional members and also individual members, and a huge corpus was created out of it, out of the interest of that corpus. So IPQ never had any financial difficulty. It was never in financial, it never faced any financial crunch. That was one thing. And second thing is the organization of IPQ. Actually, it became a model, and in our university physics department, they wanted to bring out a journal, physics journal. So they approached us, particularly me, Professor Nigvekar. He was the professor of physics in those days. he approached me, and then he took the whole idea of running a journal, and then they started. Now I am very, I should congratulate Harish Navle for a very thoughtful move of felicitating the press persons, because the timely publication of a journal depends mainly on the press, and we all know if the press is not cooperative, then you can do nothing about it. So so Harish, it was really a thoughtful move, and that's one thing. In fact, we faced a lot of difficulties in getting IPQ journal printed from university press, because they always thought this is additional burden, and university press is not supposed to print journal of the department. So we had to quarrel, fight, and so, I mean, all those things were there. But despite all these things, I am so very happy today to see the celebration of this Golden Jubilee of IPQ. No journal, I think, can survive. I mean, very few journals survive such long period of time, especially in the university setup. If it is if it is a private setup, it can continue, like Vedanta Kesari or Prabuddha Bharat. These are journals, they were published much before the first issue of that journal. But they are run by the Ramakrishna Mission order. But this journal works in the setup of the university, and it is burdened with so many rules and this and that. So it's really an achievement, in a sense, that this journal has survived so long. And I hope it will survive another 50 years or so. Now, so many other things can be said, and as and when I remember, I will. But I think on this occasion, or rather this is an occasion to reflect over the thing called journal as such. Not only IPQ, but any research journal that is published especially in the university setup. Now my question would be that have we really, or has Indian academia really integrated the culture of publication of one's own research? As we know historically, the very idea of a research journal, the very idea of publishing one's own research, the very idea of getting, peer review comments and etc., this is not an Indian idea. Our idea was writing commentaries. So this very famous Indian commentarial tradition, if we know about that, we know how a particular text used to be commented upon, and again commentary on commentary, it worked in that way. That has vanished, and with the establishment of the university system in India, this culture of research has come. But I think, or as a notice, it has not really seeped into us, because we write research for other considerations. For example, especially during last 10 to 15 years, getting articles published has become a sort of a compulsion for the sake of promotion or for the sake of appointment and so on and so forth. So I feel that under such compulsive conditions, one can never write a research piece of research which is free from such things, which is free from artificiality. And so therefore research for, using that Kantian terminology, good for something else and good in itself. So that good in itself kind of research, at least I do not find, or I find very little in many journals which I keep on reading today. So on this occasion, I have got 5 questions to be asked. I have 5 questions to be asked to the present organizers of IPQ. The first question is that, or rather we should critically look at, one, the massive body of philosophical literature published in IPQ from 1973 onwards, there has to be some audit of the quality of this entire, we take pride. I mean, those who are associated with IPQ in the past or in the present, we take pride and we say, well, this much, some 25,000 pages literature, philosophical literature was produced by IPQ or was published in IPQ. But the time has come to take a stock of things and to look at that entire corpus critically and really find out that how much of that really stands the test of time. I mean, how much of that is a real hardcore philosophy? That's one, this question. So, and someone has to undertake this. The second is the shifting interests of philosophers as evident in the writings in IPQ. See, I have compiled author and subject index of Indian Philosophical Quarterly from 1973 to 1993. And that was published on the occasion of the Golden Jubilee of Pune University. Now, when I prepared that, I compared that index with another index which was prepared by Dayakrishna and his colleague R.S. Bhattanagar. And that author subject index was it was of the Philosophical Quarterly, which used to be published from Amarner Institute. And that is the, that you might say that is the precursor, or that was the ancestor of Indian Philosophical Quarterly. After some time, I will just show you some 5 or 6 PPTs. So that is the things. Now in that I have observed in fact I read all those indexes very carefully, and I have found out that that between 1920 or say 1925 to 1966, what were the issues philosophers had when they wrote their articles in Philosophical Quarterly, and whether there was shift, their interests were changed, they brought something new. They started talking about issues in philosophy of science, though at that time it was in a very nascent state. Then they started talking about Wittgenstein as against the standard philosophical engagement of those philosophers like K.C. Bhattacharya and his contemporaries. So those, one can see, if one can read the back volumes of any journal, one gets a good idea of how philosophical thinking has taken place and how the interests of the philosophers have changed over the time. Now today, many of us would not write the kind of stuff which K.C. Bhattacharya generation wrote. We have moved far away from that. But similarly, after another 50 years, there will be something entirely different thing. So that thing I have done. Then the third question I would like to ask at this moment, the role of IPQ. We talk about IPQ so much, but what role it played in the development of not development, that's a very wrong word. Philosophy does not depend, the development of philosophy doesn't depend on any journal. But what was its real contribution? That also one has to critically look at. Then the visual impression or the aesthetic quality of IPQ, because that also is a very important thing, because sometimes the printing is very bad, sometimes the cover is so bad. So one doesn't feel like lifting up the issue and read it. So this aesthetic quality of journal, that also in my opinion is a parameter to really assess the journal. And the failures of Indian Philosophical Quarterly. We talk about achievements of Indian Philosophical Quarterly, or we talk about achievements of any journal for that matter, but what are the failure? And in order to judge the achievements or failure, what is the framework against which we could assess the journal in this way? This is I think these are the questions that we should really ask now. And although now I am not formally associated with this journal, but I would invite all of you to really address to these issues and speak about, because many of us have read or at least have seen this journal. And so, some of us have their research published in IPQ. For instance, Sunil has contributed a very thoughtful article in the special issue on Kant. Then Nirmalya has written an article like Dialogue with God. That is the piece which he has written. So like that, many of us have contributed to IPQ. So it's our duty, not, I mean, duty is maybe a strong word, but it's desirable that we look at IPQ, we take into account all these things on this occasion. Just, I mean, though this is a moment of celebration, and celebration is always in a, I mean, it spreads the happy feelings all around. But still, side by side, we should also have this kind of thing. Now, as I've said, this journal is it's a grandchild, you might say, of that institute called Indian Institute of Philosophy at Amalner. And they had published this issue, which is तिथे कोण बसले त्याच्यापाशी दाखवणार कोण आहे त्या पीपीटी कुठे गेला तो कोण वेळेत कोणी नाही नाही तो who is there? So on so this is the first cover page of the journal published in 1918. तो हा कुठे गेला तो बघत होता तो. This is the 1918 publication of Indian Institute of Philosophy at Amalner. Now this was named, as you can see, Journal of the Indian Institute of Philosophy at Amalner. Now this was more or less, अरे ती दुसरी कोणी एक कोणीतरी बसा बरं नीट कोणी तिथे. तुला एक काम सांगितलं तिथे काम कर ना तू. Now, this was more or less a in-house journal, and its editorial for the first of this issue, Pudchi dakho. Can you enlarge it? Now I cannot read anything. कसं रे तुमची अवस्था आहे एक धड कोणी माणूस नाही तिथे. I can't read, but I cannot read this because of my eyesight, but this colored portion, it says that why that institute required a journal, because they thought that the institute was in such a secluded place and the outside world should know what they are doing. So therefore, in order to make their presence felt, the journal was published. That is the kind of thing that is said in that first editorial. Then this continued, this in-house journal continued for 5 years. And this, we might say, is the first professional philosophical journal in India, produced by the institute, by a formal institute, because before 1918, this journal called Prabuddha Bharat, it was published way back in 1896, and the Vedanta Kesari, which was published at the behest of Swami Vivekananda in 1914. So these journals were already in existence in public space, but because they are in the public space, and though these two journals Prabuddha Bharat and Vedanta Kesari, they were basically meant for the propagation of Vedantic philosophy. Now, this journal claims that it is not exclusively for Vedantic philosophy, but for philosophy as such. So, in this way, in this sense, this was, one may say, the beginning of a institutional journal devoted to philosophy. But still, till 1918, this was a house journal. So, in 1918, पुढची comment, हे पुढची दाखव मला, पुढची हे. So, in 1925, that institute decided to bring out a journal, proper philosophical journal called Philosophical Quarterly. Now, you'll find that there is a journal of the same name being published from, I forget the name of, from Scotland, yeah. The same, with the same name. Philosophical Quarterly, and I wonder why there wasn't any problem in those days faced by either this institute or by the Scotland Journal. Probably they never came to know each other. That's why the same name was used by. But nowadays we cannot have, and this was our problem when the name for when this Philosophical Quarterly was revived. The question of naming it arose, and then we thought that we can continue with the same name, Philosophical Quarterly. But then the press registrar's office said that already this journal is in existence, so you have to change the name. So that word Indian was added, and therefore Indian Philosophical Quarterly came into existence. That's the story. Now, this journal continued till 1966, and the last issue of that journal was published in July 1966. पुढची comment, पुढची दाखव मला. नाही, त्याच्या पुढची. Now, but this again is not so visible properly, but this was the last issue of Philosophical Quarterly in July 1966. Now, you know, about all these I have written in my book about the history of this Philosophy Institute at Amalner. And at that time, I discovered that the very first issue of this Philosophical Quarterly, which was published in 1918, the name of the editor is is so unfamiliar, and nowhere I have found any of his reference. And he was one Mr. Tolani, M.N. Tolani. So who that fellow person is, I never knew. And I searched about his, his presence elsewhere, but I couldn't. But after that, at some point of time, G.R. Malkani became the editor, and he remained the editor of this journal till the end of, till July 1966. That's the history. When I was discussing all these issues with Daya Krishna, he asked me one question, and to that I had no answer. He said, the first director of this institute, Indian Institute of Amalner, was K.C. Bhattacharya. But there are no records at what point of time KCB was in Amalner as its first director. After that, G.R. Malkani became the director, and till the end of his, in the institute, till 1966, he remained the director of that institute. Incidentally, when I was in Amalner in the year 1976, for a period of 1 year in this institute, I met a person, a very old man called Mr. Chandrodaya Bhattacharya, and he used to teach in the municipal school in Amalner, and he used to teach Marathi. So I was so surprised that in those days, I mean, so many unimaginable things had happened. And then this Chandrodaya Babu, he then shifted to Kolkata, and he started some journal there, I believe. So, but he spoke quite fluent Marathi, and many of these people used to stay in Amalner. And I am wondering what type of life they have lived at the campus, because it's a very small campus, some 18 or 20 rooms are there. So assuming the full occupancy, how these 20 people would have spent their day? Of course, there is a good library and all those things are there, but still, what kind of philosophy they would have discussed? That's a very interesting thing, but for that there is no access now. Nobody is alive now. This July 66 issue does not mention the closure, because slightly after July 66, that institute was closed down because the donor who established, he died, and his sons did not have any interest because that institute was not a paying proposition, so that was closed down, etc. So the IPQ, Indian Philosophical Quarterly, first issue begins with October 73. So to see the continuity from July to October. So the first issue of IPQ was published in October 1973. So I asked this question to Harish. Do you know why October 73? Why not September 73 or January 73? So the reason is this, to maintain the continuity, and then this was. So this is a very brief history of this journal. And as I said, even last night I was going through these back issues of all these 34 years journals. I find some extraordinary contributions of some of our best minds in India from 73 till, let us say, 1980, 1985. You find really remarkable, articles, quite engaging articles, various themes, various interests. You find that. So if someone takes the research project, a small research project on the on this article, just to, because I believe that what type of philosophical thinking, what type of philosophical issues philosophers were engaged with during a particular period, time frame, the journals are the best resources for that, apart from books. So these kinds of things can be done. Now, I think nothing more should be said from because my colleague, Professor Gokhale, is going to speak. I will only mention two things. In one of the back issues, there is one article by one Mr. Richards. And I think this is a very interesting story. I must share this. So, and that article is called it's on truth possibilities, truth functions and truth possibilities. So this, and the name of the author is Richards, only Richards. So I was wondering who is this Richards, because there is no affiliation was printed. We couldn't print. Now, then when I went to England, a friend of mine in Pune, she said that since you are going to England, you can meet my sister. Her sister, she and her husband, they are in the medical profession there. So I took the address and went there. I thought that I'll get some Marathi food in their house. So I went there, but the evening I went there, in the morning, I read a newspaper. I think it was a Sunday. And in the supplement, there was a big full-page article, and in the center, there was a photograph of Wittgenstein and a person standing side by side. And that article was written on the book by Bartley. There is a book by Bartley on Wittgenstein, and it is alleged that Wittgenstein had the homosexual relation with one person, and that person's photograph was that. So it was quite, tantalizing. And in the evening, when I went to that house, I find that person in the photograph in front of me. He was Dr. Richards. So I said, it was a shock of my life. Then of course, I asked him. Then he said, no, no, it's all bullshit, it's nothing like that. And then he had a long conversation with me. Now this Mr. Richards, later on he came to Pune. All of a sudden he came to the department and met me. Then I said, how come you are here? Then he said, my wife's relations are in Pune, and that relation of his wife was my friend. So it was, a circle was like that. So, but this Richard's incidence is, and that article is very good, incidentally. So I thought I should share this thing. Now I am also asked to speak something on the idea of convivium or convivium. Now, there seems to be a lot of confusion about that. Some people have understood, some have not, so let me clarify. But I must also admit that, to hold convivium in university setup is not possible. If you try to do that, then again, last night I said this to my wife, she said, oh, you don't say this. So I said, love marriage was intended, but what turned out to be was arranged marriage. So, so it was, say, in the university system, what is convivium? Convivium is, if you see the meaning, it's the assembly of people at banquet in the evening. People are in a very relaxed mood. Their spirits are little bit heightened, and then they are discussing, anything under the sun, and out of that discussion, some important thing emerges. So that was the idea of convivium. And I have attended one convivium. My friend, or our friends, Sunil, myself, Michael Maggie from Liverpool University, he had organized a convivium in Liverpool, in which I was present. And well, in fact, it was for 6 days or so in a very secluded place, and day and night we will discuss anything under the sun. So Ramchandra Gandhi will come and start talking about Advaita between a cow and a painting or something like that. That his interpretation of Tayyab's paintings. There he finds that in the afternoon, in summer afternoon in Shantiniketan, he discovered Advaita in that. So he started saying that. Dayakrishna will say something like that. And then I was wondering, is it really worth that kind of activity? And after some time I realized, yes, it is worth, because some fresh ideas, something new comes not in a very formal structure. So that's what I thought, that for seminar, our seminar culture has, I should say now, not the present one, but see, the seminar culture as such is, it has lost its gravity. Seminars have become more or less rituals kind of thing. People come, they write some paper in a hurry, come, present, and they are told that, well, you have to write a paper on this theme. So some theme is determined prior, whether one is because of medicine, my throat goes dry every 2-3 minutes. So, so whether or not one is really an expert in a field, one then just collects something from different sources, write a paper, present it. Now, this thing, we must collectively think how to improve on this situation or this kind of situation, and occasionally at least, we should meet in this convivium mode and discuss something new, discuss something fresh, or discuss one's own ideas which has undergone certain changes, and so on and so forth. So without any predetermination, if philosophers come, they discuss, they come to know what is being said by another person, that might help us in some way. So at least I am not a rich person to organize a convivium and bear the whole expenses, but still something can be done, and maybe we can find out some entrepreneur or some like Infosys people and get some funds just for that. But then people say that already they look at philosophy as a useless subject. So why spend money on more useless activity than this? That also might be the case. But anyway, this was my idea of, and I'm happy I have gone through all the, I mean, Harish has shared all these abstracts, and I'm greatly looking forward for interaction with each. I mean, let us have a common interaction all the time, maybe after dinner, during lunchtime, and so on. I'm greatly looking forward to Sunil's presentation after this one. These two are going to be, one is talking philosophy as dialogue, and another is talking as philosophy as amateurs pursuit. So both are very exciting, and we are all looking forward to that. Thank you very much. See. Just a second. Sorry. I must congratulate and rather, put this thing on for Harish. He has really done a very good thing. And so thoughtful that to bring this issue on this very day, that, and for I know how much difficult things these are, praise, running to the praise, getting things done in time, this, that, so on. So he and his team has done really a wonderful thing, and I am sure. But now you must look into the quality of the articles, quality of, as I said, printing, and you try to make it as comparable to, say, journal, the Simla Institute journal, or ICPR journal. I don't know how much its quality is now or what they do, but since the Springer brings out that, some minimum things would be there. So our journal should be comparable to that. People shouldn't say, oh, its quality is not good like that. So that is upon you. So you and your team should do that. And all the best wishes from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. As we celebrate the Golden Jubilee of Indian Philosophical Quarterly, it is essential to reflect on its remarkable journey, on that has shaped philosophical thoughts and nurtured intellectual discourse for 5 decades. To take us through the legacy, impact, and vision of IPQ, we are honored to have with us Professor Pradeep Gokhale, a distinguished philosopher and scholar whose deep engagement with Indian and Western philosophy has made significant contribution to the academic world. Professor Gokhale's insights will provide us with a deeper understanding of how IPQ has evolved as a platform for rigorous philosophical inquiry and its continued relevance to today's intellectual landscape. With great respect and anticipation, I now invite Professor Pradeep Gokhale sir to take the stage and share his thoughts. Let's welcome him with a warm round of applause. Professor Gokhale sir. Sir, here. Please come here.
Friends, I have a peculiar relation with Indian Philosophical Quarterly. I started my career related to the journal activity as editorial assistant. It is when I completed my PhD in 1980. There was a question, personal question before me, how I should do career as a philosopher. I had thought that I want to be a philosopher. And then there was a possibility that there was a lecturer's post vacant at that time, and Professor Barlinge suggested that I should apply for that. But I had some funny ideas about doing philosophy. I thought that by becoming a lecturer in philosophy, one doesn't become a philosopher. One has just to repeat what other people have said. So I should do some other job and do philosophy independently. So at that time, editorial assistant's post was vacant in the department, and I accepted that post and worked there for a few months. So I got acquainted with the journal activity of the department, and it was too much a kind of a clerical, official type of work, and it took a lot of time. So I thought that no, in this way I cannot do philosophy. So by that time, another post of lecturer was also vacant. It was announced. So I applied for that and I became a lecturer. So I was not directly associated with Indian philosophy in editorial capacity for a long time. At some stage I was made book review editor, and at a very late stage when I had come from Varanasi after 6 years professorship there to Pune. At that time Dr. Ravindra Mule, because probably there was no professors in the philosophy department, university had appointed Professor Ravindra Mule from Sanskrit Advanced Studies Center as the head of the department of philosophy as additional charge. But he had a very positive approach to philosophy department activities, and he took all the colleagues in confidence, and he thought that the activity of journals should not be hampered, it should not stop, it should continue, it should progress. So with that idea, he asked me to become the chief editor of all the 3 journals. This was something very odd for me, because it included Hindi Paramarsha also, with which I was not related earlier. And so it was a kind of apad dharma for me. And apad dharma, not in the usual sense of the term, department was having apad, and I was regarding, helping the department as my dharma. So this kind of apad dharma. And so I was associated with all the 3 journals for about 3 years, actually 2.5 years. And now, what was the situation at the time of inception of Indian Philosophical Quarterly? There was a vacuum of such platforms, such a forum, where researches in Indian philosophy can be presented and they can be discussed. So Barlinge's vision was mainly to start such a forum. And with that particular view, he established the journal when there was no such a journal running at that time in India. And then his approach was in a way more or less informal. That is, he wanted, certainly he was very sensitive about the quality of articles, but he used to say that it is not expected that every article in every issue should be qualitatively very good, but in every issue there should be at least one article which is very good. So this process of selecting articles was not done in a mechanical way, but in an informal way, out of some kind of intuition. And he used to himself see the articles and make selections. Sometimes he used to send some articles to other colleagues and sometimes even to outside experts and take their opinion. But that was also done in a very informal way. Just the one who is the referee, he used to just paste a chit saying maybe accepted, maybe rejected, maybe revised or whatever. So, whereas now we realize, now this process has become so much complicated and so much difficult. On the one hand, it is expected that there should be doubly blind reviewing. So the reviewer should not know who has written the article and the author should not know who has reviewed my article. And then also this problem of plagiarism is there. So every article has to be tested whether any such plagiarism is involved, is included, is a part of it or not. So all these things have become very much complicated, and in a new environment, we have to run the journals. It is not a vacuum now. There are some journals and we have to, so to say, compete with them and have that kind of standard by following those rules and so on and so forth. And one problem which department has been facing, like maybe many other departments in the university, that when people retire, the posts are not filled up, and so at one stage there were 30 members of the department, 13 members of the department, and now I think there are only 5 or 6, whatever. So 4 only. Oh, so how can they run 3 journals in an efficient way? This is a real practical problem. I mean, editorial assistant is there, Sunil Raut, he is very efficient, but editors should be there and they should be very active, they should be, that should be their priority. Whereas it is very difficult to have journal activity as a priority, because mostly they have they have their own career, they have to write articles for themselves, and also teaching and administration and all these things they have to run. So I of course wish that Harish Nowle, he has taken up and he is doing it, and with the help of all his colleagues. I have just a small suggestion, because I thought that probably some university official will be there in the chairs, but at present there is no one. That when you advertise a post, one of the considerations should be whether the incoming faculty knows editorial activity or not. This should be one of the necessary conditions, or at least additional qualification that any new faculty member should have, so that you can say assign such responsibility of running journals to this incoming faculty. I have, more as a witness, I have experienced, good editors of IPQ, Professor Marathe, Professor Bokil, they were there for a long time, and their consideration was mainly the regularity of the journal, bringing out the journal in a timely way. Professor Deshpande has a different type of contribution to all this activity. First thing is that he was very particular about the quality of the journal. With reference to even the size of the issue, he had some ideas that it should not be just 1/8 demi size, but different size should be there. And we should also take into account not only the journal activity, but also IPQ publications. So side by side, Indian Philosophical Quarterly has brought out many books. And Professor Deshpande was coordinator of DSA program, Departmental Special Assistance Program. Under that, he conducted some seminars, and the anthologies based on those seminars were also published. And while publishing them, also he was very particular about the quality of the production. I have just brought two anthologies in which I was also involved. One is Studies in Indian Moral Philosophy, and it is edited by Professor Bhelke and myself. So this cover of the book, the cover design was by Professor Deshpande. So he said that, this should be the design. It is a very beautiful and different type of design. And secondly, another anthology is on Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, and there also he was very keen in bringing out the book as a qualitatively rich book. So the kind of paper which is to be used, it is not a normal type of paper, but different type of paper. So this is something, and today also he insisted that this novel and others, they should be very particular about the quality of the journal. I fully agree with Professor Deshpande on this, and he has also raised some questions on which. Mm-hmm. Yes, please.
Sorry for interruption. When we published Ramu Gandhi's book, I Am Thou, at that time he was in Pune. He was attached to our department in some capacity, and he had a draft ready. So he asked Professor Barlinge that I want to, will you publish this? So Barlinge said, you asked Sharad Deshpande. So I said, okay, we will publish, because it was Ramchandra Gandhi's book. Naturally, there has to be something in it. So we started, the work began, and then the press where this book was getting printed, Ramchandra Gandhi had a habit of correcting the proof. Now, after correcting the proof, the press will send the proof, then he will make 3 times more corrections into that corrected proof. So ultimately the press manager went mad, and he told me, sir, we will not print this book. You please, put some check on this man. So I said, don't say this man. You don't know who this man is. He is so and so. So then that press, he agreed. Somehow and then my quarrel was, Ramchandra Gandhi, all of you know, he has very clear ideas. And he was a great devotee of Ramana Maharshi. So he wanted to put Ramana Maharshi's photo on the cover. I said, okay. Then he went to Shantiniketan and he got the cover made. So when that cover came, I said, no, this doesn't look good, so we have to another cover. So then another cover was prepared. And then he insisted to have a particular photograph of Ramana Maharshi, where more than 3/4 of his body is without clothes. And all this Gerua color, saffron color. I said, I disapprove this cover. We had a very big fight on that. Then I said, okay, ours is Indian Philosophical Quarterly and not a Hindu Philosophical Quarterly. So this difference you must. So I prevailed. So he was then later on he stopped talking to me for some time. But he was also and then after 2 years or so, all of a sudden he came to Amarner when me and my wife was there. One morning he just stood in front of us. So I said, how come you are here? No, I just thought I should meet you. So then he stayed 2 days with us and then went. So this is Ramchandra Gandhi. My insistence.
So thank you. So I don't have anything more to say. I wish all the best to the department for continuing this activity of Indian Philosophical Quarterly, and with more regularity and more efficiency. So from my side, unfortunately, I could not do much and because of this age factor and all that, I cannot do much also, but I only can give best wishes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. You have always been a support to our department. Whenever it comes to any event, you're always there. We are really grateful for that, and your contribution to the department is invaluable. Now, moving forward, at the heart of philosophy lies dialogue, a continuous exchange of ideas, perspective, and reasoning that shapes human thought and understanding. Philosophy is not merely about abstract theorizing, it is a conversation that transcends time, culture, and tradition. To delve deeper into this profound theme, we are honored to have with us today Professor Nirmali Chakrabarti, an esteemed scholar and academic leader whose vast contribution to philosophical discourse has enriched both national and international platforms. Professor Chakrabarti will now share his insights on philosophy as dialogue, exploring the role of conversation in shaping philosophical thoughts and its relevance in contemporary times. So I request you all to please give him a big round of applause, and I request sir to please take the dais.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's indeed a very, very special occasion, insofar as the history of philosophical activities in India is concerned. We are really happy that we have been able to gather here to commemorate the 50 years of Indian Philosophical Quarterly. It is perhaps the oldest professional philosophy journal in India, as far as my knowledge goes. And as Professor Deshpande was telling, that it has indeed attracted attention of the major philosophers of India and also from abroad. I have seen Strawson's article in this journal. Also copy, okay. So, and it's indeed, I mean, a horrendous task to continue publishing a professional philosophy journal in the university setup in India. So all of us, are aware of the problems and the predicaments that organizers of this editors and members who are associated with this professional journal have to face. I remember that IPQ used to have a separate section, especially for publication of young research scholars. That was students. Yes, that was indeed a remarkable aspect of IPQ. And I was a few years back, I got to know that under Professor Deshpande's leadership, all the old issues of IPQ have been digitized, and that's something, and it's open. So that is something really very significant work, which actually in a way prompted me also to undertake, having a digital library of the old Nyaya texts produced in and around Calcutta. So it's indeed a very, very happy occasion for all of us. At the same time, the questions that Professor Deshpande raised are also, I think worth taking seriously. About this idea of convivium, which Professor Deshpande has used. As far as my understanding goes, I mean, he thought that he would invite a group of people who can share their ideas and their works on what they are, engaged in right now, instead of, having some focal theme, which usually we do when we organize seminars. At this stage of my career, one question keeps on haunting me. And the question is, what do we do in philosophy? I think all of us who started studying philosophy remember that in undergraduate days, there was a set question, what is philosophy, right? Apparently this sounds very naive, very innocent question. But as I, start thinking over this question, it really opens up, a lot of ideas and thoughts, and one certainly could look at the history of philosophy, both in Western tradition and in Indian tradition, and one could really, make a list, so to say, of different models of philosophy that are available. I have made a tentative list. This is just tentative. I am sure that one could, improve on this. I shall be speaking on philosophy as dialogue, with special focus on the Socratic, Elenctic method that we found in Plato's dialogues. But there are many other, models of philosophy that one could think of. Philosophy as, as an attempt to acquire the knowledge of reality, whatever reality means. There are people who talk about philosophy as a kind of science of interpretation and hermeneutic, aspect to philosophy. There are people who talk about philosophy as an analysis of the logical syntax of the statements used in physical sciences. There are people who talk about philosophy, as giving us a hope to establish a liberal, democratic, social setup. And there are also people who can, talk of philosophy as basically a science of arguments. Okay, so there are various models of philosophy. I'm sure that one could think of many more. Today I shall, very briefly, because we don't have enough time to discuss in great detail. Today, perhaps, one way of looking at philosophy, and this has got some wider social implications as well. Perhaps we can look back the way Socrates used to converse with his interlocutors, as we find in Plato's dialogues. The question with which we can start is, when we start philosophizing, are we simply confined to applying a certain method to a specific area of discourse? Or are we aiming at acquiring a certain knowledge or value? It is perhaps unavoidable that our initial beliefs and practices would color the nature of our philosophical enterprise to begin with. But then, is philosophy a methodology only? Or is it concerned with getting at some substantive truth? Do we simply clarify, criticize the beliefs that we start with? Or do we, as philosophers, expect to apprehend some truths that were not known to us before, or not even implicit in our initial beliefs? Surely removing inconsistency is an important job. Many of our everyday beliefs are in mess, and it would certainly be a laudable work if one can show the inconsistency in the set of beliefs that I claim to entertain. But if philosophy exhausts itself in removing inconsistency, then given the fact that it is almost certain that some of our beliefs are false and we don't know which are, making our beliefs consistent
does not ensure increase in our knowledge, for it would only set the inconsistent beliefs outside the system and would not offer any hope of correcting the false beliefs. On the other hand, if we aim at getting at truth, on paying least attention to the removal of inconsistency, the only yardstick that we can use is our own beliefs, and then the whole project of gaining truth would lapse into a personal, subjective history. Let me analyze the structure and significance of the elenctic method in philosophical discourse in general. Put simply, elenchus is a method showing that a set of propositions is inconsistent. Socrates, while applying this method, tries to show that the set of propositions that the interlocutor holds is inconsistent. Usually, after the first answer that the interlocutor gives, Socrates elicits some more comments from the interlocutor and then shows that the latter answers are inconsistent with the initial answer that the interlocutor gave. Thus, Socrates proves that initial answer that the interlocutor gave is wrong. Notice that even if we agree that consistency is a virtue, all that elenchus succeeds in showing is that the interlocutor cannot rationally believe in all the propositions in the consistent set. This is the reason why Socrates wants his interlocutor to be committed to the propositions that the latter asserts. The interlocutor is not expected to play games with words. If this is true, then all that elenchus does is to show that at least one of the beliefs that the interlocutor holds is false. But then it is in principle possible for the interlocutor to change any of the latter beliefs so that the original belief could be rescued. The elenchus only shows that one or more beliefs in the set is false, but does not show which one is false. Looked at this way, elenchus starts working only on the assumption that the initial belief is false. If we add to this the commitment part on the interlocutor's behalf, then that elenchus leads to truth requires the presumption that, especially in moral matters, all of us are in possession of certain true beliefs, and we cannot forsake these beliefs, for these beliefs clash with the initial belief. A kind of moral egalitarianism follows where we all do have moral truths in us, and removal of inconsistency throws the odd one out, and what remains is the truth. One is reminded of the role of midwife that Socrates vowed to take up. One could look at Plato's doctrine of transmigration of soul and recollection in his dialogue Meno, implying that we are in possession of truths, just that because of certain accidental causes, we have lost our memory. So the question with which we started resurfaces again. When we start philosophizing, we begin with some ideas, beliefs, and values. Is philosophy expected to transcend these and arrive at something new? If not, then philosophy should be content with consistency and truth remains beyond its reach. If elenchus aims at removing inconsistency, then it works on the assumption that we do possess the moral truths, and what is needed is brushing aside the weeds that would make us aware of the knowledge that we have. And if elenchus is the philosophical method, then philosophy does not seem to be aiming at truth. If the most important question for Socrates is the nature of good life, then in another dialogue, Philebus, it is the elentic method that leads us to the unraveling of the knowledge of good life that we already have. In this dialogue, Philebus explains what good life he thinks to be like. Then Socrates makes further queries to him, and Philebus replies. These replies are then shown by Socrates to be inconsistent with the original answer given by Philebus. So at the end, both Socrates and Philebus agree that the negation of the original answer is the correct one. Of course, there are two more assumptions that fall outside the realm of Elenchus. One, everyone having the capacity to know prefers good. Two, no one after reflection would choose either life of pure pleasure or the life of pure intellect. Maybe one could construct a different elentic method to prove these two assumptions. What all these show is that, and this is important I think, no preset ideal or divine revelation helps us in arriving at the right conclusions. Ideas and ideals are in making. And a philosopher is constantly engaged in this construction. It is a making not of a personal whim or imagination, it is making of engaging with ideas and engaging with ideas of other people. Thus, communitarian social engagement is what makes Socrates a philosopher. Socrates goes as far as in claiming that nature does not teach him anything. I quote, trees and open country won't teach me anything, whereas men in the town do, declares Socrates in Phaedrus. Once following Elenchus, if we can remove the belief that is not consistent with the set of beliefs that we already hold, then we can be made aware of the true beliefs that are there in us, and a large number of individual beliefs in this set of consistent beliefs are more likely to be true. If we look at the dialogues that describe the last days of Socrates, we see how determined Socrates is to talk to his fellow people, question them, examine their views on different matters. When Socrates talks of the possibility of being acquitted on the condition that he would stop philosophizing, he was given this condition, if you stop philosophizing, we will, acquit you. Socrates unambiguously declares, and I quote, I shall never stop practicing philosophy and exhorting you and elucidating the truth for everyone that I meet. In a deeply touching manner, Socrates requests his jury to argue with his sons after his death if they, sons of Socrates, put money or something else before goodness, and to take revenge on Socrates, because by that time Socrates will be dead, and to take revenge on Socrates by plaguing them, his sons, as Socrates has plagued the Athenians. And only this way Socrates thinks that he, along with his sons, can have justice at the hands of the jury. But what makes Socrates do this with such passion and commitment? There are two elements worth noting in this Socratic enterprise. One, the initiator is convinced that this dialogic enterprise will lead her to truth. And two, the other, the interlocutor, is an important ally in this pursuit of truth. So if knowing the truth is the aim, then this aim can only be attained in a joint effort. Knowledge of truth is not a solitary effort. Truth is known and ascertained in this communicative process. In this elentic process, if the interlocutor realizes that the beliefs that she holds true are inconsistent, this is an important achievement. Then the dogmatic certainty that one often entertains makes room for modesty and fallibility. The value of elencus also consists in its clarificatory job. The assumption behind the elencus is that holding an individual belief implies holding many other beliefs in the neighborhood. We are often not aware of this implication. Having a false belief might very well coexist with some other beliefs that are held true by the same person. This implies that not all beliefs entertained by the person are false. There are some truths that are accepted as so by the person. Elencus makes the person realize that the truths that are held so by the person conflicts with her initial response, and she is not ready to alter her acceptance of these true beliefs. This implies that the initial belief that she held is false. It is perhaps philosophically unilluminating to try to discover why the historical Socrates spent so much time in applying elencus to his fellow citizens. The lesson that one could take from this is that truth is known only in verbal communication, and that too in the form of elencus. This exchange of ideas, followed by many more verbal clarifications, lead us to truth. In Phaedrus, Socrates compares writing with painting and argues that if one asks a painting about its feature, the painting remains silent. So also the printed words, if asked to explain their meaning, go on repeating the same thing. Speech, on the other hand, is lively and makes room for further explanation and clarification. In another dialogue, Socrates refers to an Egyptian myth where the story is that, at one time people didn't have this knowledge of writing. So everything they used to, memorize, and then somebody came and invented this method of writing, and somehow it really, crippled, man's ability to think, to creatively think, etc., etc. So it was a kind of curse to mankind that now we have, we know this printing technology. So acquiring and apprehending beliefs are not jobs that one can perform in seclusion. If language is a social art, as Quine holds, then so are our beliefs. We learn beliefs, we articulate them, we refine and refresh them only through interaction with others. What we think of the surrounding world is what we learn from others. What we think of ourselves is also largely determined by what others think of me. We learn what others think of me by interacting with them. So we are caught in a maze of multi-level interacting relation. It is not merely a matter of Socratic arrogance to invite someone into elentic argument and then to show that the interlocutor holds inconsistent beliefs. Rather, a philosophical humility is expressed in inviting one into elencus and to gain mutual clarity and understanding. The other in this picture, the interlocutor, plays a crucial role. Understanding the other enriches understanding oneself. It is not a question, for example, whether one can perform just act, right act, moral act, before one knows what justice is. We find ourselves in this world and keep on participating in our own ways, depending on our notion of prima facie, notion of duty. Elenchus gives us the opportunity to get a clearer understanding of this prima facie duty. Gaining a clearer understanding of what a just act is, alongside knowing our failures in performing just acts, is no mean an achievement, and Socratic Elenchus accomplishes this enviably. It is true that in many of the dialogues, Socrates is at pains to show the hollowness of the knowledge claims of people. People claim to know things when they really don't know. This pretense has been severely attacked by Socrates. Socrates, on the other hand, does not claim to have knowledge. And so he knows that he doesn't know. And this makes Socrates the wisest person in Athens. This Socratic ignorance is not a matter of pretense only. The philosophically important message that one could hear is that truth and beliefs are known in this dialogical process, and we should remember Socrates' view that speech, in a significant sense, is superior to written words, in the sense that words get lively and beliefs get born and refined in and through the dialogic process. Both the parties in the dialogue are enriched. In a Socratic Elenchus, not only beliefs are clarified, beliefs are also formed. Elenchus is a dynamic process, a process where the parties talk and talk to get at knowledge. Talking and listening go hand in hand. Mutual interpretation is at its best here. Unlike what happens in writing, in an Elenchus, words are not dead fossils left behind by its authors. They move and gaze at the parties in the Elenchus. Elenctic enterprise is not merely a matter of clarifying one's beliefs. New beliefs are formed, new ideas emerge, new distinctions are drawn. Our acquiring thoughts and beliefs is accomplished in this kind of dialogue. Elenchus does not confine itself into coming up with rigorous definitions of key concepts under discussion. It would be rather simplistic to think of Elenchus as a definitional project. In philosophy, often the problem is that we are not sure whether we are asking the right kind of question. What it is that we are defining, and even the conceptual apparatus that we are using while defining, escapes our clear understanding. Language and the concepts expressed through language do not come to us from some external source. Language and the associated concepts are born, emerge, and shaped in our linguistic communicative behavior. To get the language right is not the aim in itself. To be understood and to interact with the fellow beings is the raison d'etre of language. Language learning in its basic features also exhibits this dynamics of understanding and communication. Learning simple natural kind terms also involves a great amount of going back and forth for the learner. Remember, when as children, when we are trying to learn language from our elders. So no wonder then the picture gets immensely complicated once we try to learn words that have important philosophical imports like knowledge, virtue, freedom, etc. In a sincere dialogue of the form of Elenchus, learning these words cannot but leave an influence on how we believe and how we live. Very briefly, we don't have time to get into that details. Very briefly, let me just draw your attention to another dialogue. another kind of dialogue from which a different model of philosophy emerges. This is the dialogue that one can find in Chandogya Upanishad. This is a dialogue between a son and his father. After completing his studies for 12 years, the son, called Shvetaketu, returns home, very proud, boasting about all the things that he has learned during last 12 years while staying with his teacher. So naturally the father, Aruni, out of curiosity asked him, so what things you have learned in last 12 years? So he gave a long list. So these are the things that I have learned, and very, very proud. Then the father started asking him, let me briefly quote one simple Sanskrit sentence. It's wonderful. Can I have a copy of this? Yeah. Yeah. So, after giving a long list of the things that he has learned, the father was asking him, so have you learned that? Knowledge of which would enable you to know everything? Have you learned that? Yena ashrutang shrutang bhavati amatang matam avijnatam vijnatam. Have you learned that? And the son was really, very shocked. So, no, I have not learned this thing. Then, there's a long description of this knowledge of that, which is, kind of the ultimate cause of this creation, etc., etc. And at the end, the dialogue ends with this. The father told Shvetaketu, after a long description, Tat Satyam, that is the only truth. Sa Atma, that is Atma. Tattvamasi, Shvetaketu. Shvetaketu, you are that. Okay. So, from this dialogue, it's very different in structure from the Elenctic dialogue. I hope to undertake a detailed study of the difference between the structures of these two kinds of dialogues. But from here, a different model of philosophy could be said to emerge, where we could say that philosophy is a study of reality. And of course, there are different grades of reality, different versions of reality, different understandings of reality, even within the classical Indian philosophical system. But this is another kind of dialogue which could be the springboard of another model of philosophy. And I'm very tempted to bring in a little bit of J.L. Mehta here, because J.L. Mehta, he was a student of Heidegger, and he wrote, about the Upanishadic conception of being, and try to encapsulate it within the Heideggerian framework of the inquiry of being. So these are some of the issues that really one could explore further. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, moving forward, I request, we will move forward to our next session, which is compared by Mohit Tandon, sir. So I request to take him over the dais, and before that, I'll request our HOD, Harish sir, to give the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Samiksha. Now we are coming to the end of the first session, that was the inaugural session. And immediately after this, the next session will begin. We had a plan, 10 minutes break in between, but now there is a little time. So till 1 to 2 o'clock, we'll have a next session, and then after we'll break for lunch. Okay. So before that, I would like to express my vote of thanks to all the dignitaries, those who have come for this lecture. First of all, I would like to extend my vote of thanks to Professor Nirmalya Narayan Chakravarti, who has kindly accepted our request and present here and graced our occasion of inauguration. I also expressing my vote of thanks to Professor Deshpande, who has right from beginning literally looked after everything of this convivium as such, and he has guided a couple of times. He has also given the names of the experts. So almost everything was touched upon by Professor Deshpande. In spite of his health and his elderly age, he has really took a lot of interest in organizing this function. Therefore, we all are here. And I also express vote of thanks towards Professor Gokhale, who is always with us for any kind help. He never hesitates to extend his helping hand to our department. He is very active and busy with us. We get a lot of encouragement from both of our teachers. And I also thank all the dignitaries who have accepted our request and all the way came from their respective places here to express their opinion on philosophy. And the entire team here, I also thank to my authorities in the Savitribai Phule Pune University, who have taken enough what we can say efforts to sponsor this program. I also thank ICPR for on the 13th only we received a letter that ICPR is also sponsoring this seminar, and yesterday only we sent them letter for compliance and all that. So I really thank to ICPR that they have recognized and acknowledged the importance of Indian Philosophy Quarterly. And last but not least, my team, all the students who have, this function is being organized, and the hands behind all this function is the student of the Department of Philosophy. They have really worked very hard. Last 2 weeks at least, they are working and preparing for making this event happen. I express a vote of thanks towards my students also, and definitely not thanking my colleagues, but definitely appreciating their help for organizing this function. And really Professor Nirmalya Chakravarti have explained the notion of dialogue, and Professor Deshpande was telling the concept of convivium. I think the institutionalized elenchus is what convivium is. So, and he also said that printed and paintings and printing do not have that much stuff to express. So therefore, we have been printing the IPQ since many times. Therefore, we have thought that let us meet together and have an exchange of words. So that's really serving the purpose. Thank you very much, sir. We'll begin immediately the next session, and after that, we'll break for lunch. Thank you.